You're never going to know until you try. And I know this is what scares people, actually, the act of trying or getting into something new, because it's the feeling of being lost in uncertainty that scares you from starting. But when you truly think about it, depending on what you're doing, you are not going to die at the end of the day. If you fail, if you try to make a call, let's say, they say no, you keep on persisting, and they say no flat. You failed. Okay, you survived. There is no problem. At the end of the day, all you did was not get a customer, but now you have more knowledge from not having gotten that customer than if the customer said yes. Because now you know how to change perspectives and how to then speak to that person or another person in the future based off of past transactions or conversations. So the act of not starting something is so vague to me because you're not going to die. And if you feel like you've wasted time, you learned something from that. You learned that that isn't worth going into, or just even the skills of having gone into it. You learn new information as you try things. So why haven't you tried starting something, or why haven't you tried doing something new? Because everybody's stuck in this mindset of not starting anything because they're too scared or they're too unsure. But when you really look at it, you need to think and you need to understand that unless you try things, you're going to be stuck in the exact same spot for the rest of your life. People who have made it, or just people who are happy, knew that they needed to change something and they took action, and they didn't know what they were doing to begin with. Most people don't know, or most people don't understand what they're doing to, like, at the beginning of their journey. Like, even me, I know that I don't understand what I'm doing, and I know that I don't know where I'm going. But the act of not even starting it is so much worse than failing and not gaining and gaining information. So, like, why don't you just begin? Why don't you start? Just do something new. Anything new, it's going to benefit you, and it's going to teach you how to learn things too, because as you research things, the researching aspect becomes faster and faster as you learn how to research and as you learn how to learn. You gain so much knowledge and so much value in yourself trying new things. Okay, this business model didn't work. Oh, this business model didn't work. So why don't you try and learn off of that? You need to start learning off of these things, because you can't allow yourself to get stuck in the constant motion of being complacent, because I hate complacency, and so does the founder of Nvidia. I heard autobiography, or I was listening to a podcast on his upbringing and just his mentality, and he hates complacency, and so do I. The act of not doing anything and the act of staying stationary for the rest of your life is probably the worst thing that you can do, because what value is there if you're not growing? What value is there if you're not willing to change your life? Because I know some people, or most people, aren't happy with where they're at, but they don't choose to change anything because they're scared. And I know you're scared. I know you don't know where to go, but that's where everything starts, because you start to learn new things. You start to understand what you want in life. And that all begins from the act of uncertainty and not knowing where you're going, because you need to walk into this gray fog that you can't see anything. But you know, at the end of that road, at the end of that fog, you're going to find opportunity and find what you need in life. You're going to find what your meaning is, find what fulfills you. You're going to find what you find interesting and what you truly love. And this may not happen in a month, it may not happen in a year, it may not happen in 2 years, but this compounds. This compounds and it grows into something more meaningful than what it may have been before. This is something that takes time and you can't rush. So even 1 hour of getting into whatever it may be is going to change your life. Whether it be reading, whether it be writing, whether it be listening to new perspectives, it is all going to change your life. And you need to be willing to walk into an uncertain path, or just uncertainty in general, because this is how people grow. You grow off of failure, and you grow off of past experiences. So you can't expect to win everything, because nobody wins everything, because if you win everything, you lose meaning in things, because you no longer know the value of how good it feels to win something. And just the feeling of losing, coming back, and then winning is so much more meaningful than just the constant feeling of winning, because then you lose the meaning of having won something. And you just have to learn that not everything comes at once, and it takes so much time for anything to compound. Just how when you invest in the S&P 500, let's say, at the beginning, it's going to be practically nothing. You may gain $10 in your first year, but then in 20 to 30 years, that compounds to a few thousand to $100,000, depending on how much you put in. But the main idea is that this compounds. So whatever you do and whatever you get into, as long as you stay consistent, as long as you actually focus and care about what you do, it's going to compound, no matter what you may believe, because you were putting consistent effort and you are getting better as the day goes. So you are going to grow, and you are going to become somebody you truly wish. And no, you're going to become the person you want to be, and not the person you wish you could be. You are going to become that person, but that all starts with walking into discomfort and walking into uncertainty, because that is the only way and the only manner that you are going to grow.